What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Another edition here on this beautiful Thursday, a windy Thursday in Lawrence, with Elijah Schmidt behind the cameras and Dan Courtwright. Sean Kellerman, got a packed show for you today.
Packed.
We are well dressed today, I would say. I really prefer just the KU garb, but we happen to be dressed a little bit nicer.
Yeah, we were at a press conference where we can get into this probably another time aside from the open, but I never know because like you're probably allowed to wear KU stuff. I don't know if I'm not technically allowed to wear KU stuff
at the pressers.
Yeah, at the pressers or like games.
Yeah. Oh, I don't think it matters that much.
I don't think it matters
I
too
do
terribly
think
much.
there are some writers, some friends of the show,
yes,
who make a point to not wear anything KU related.
Of course.
God forbid they be fans of
right.
KU.
I'm a fan.
God forbid.
That's the thing. That's the way I look at it differently. Is like I'm not really a journalist. Maybe technically I am because this is my job. But like I look at it more of like I'm a KU fan with a talk show.
Yeah.
And I want to. You know what I mean? I'm not cheering in the press box or whatever. But
that being said, we are fans very clearly, and we have some massive news to break down here in the opening segment that all KU fans were thrilled by when Bill Self announced that he will be returning to KU to coach in the 26-27 season. Going to dive into that here in the opening segment. Plus, next segment, we are going to ask the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks, Brian Hanni, his thoughts on the Hall of Famer returning to the KU sideline and the future of Kansas basketball. After that, talking a little KU baseball with head baseball coach Dan Fitzgerald. He speaks on the autism awareness game that's coming up this weekend, KU and Utah. First of 3 is tonight. And, of course, the recent success of KU baseball. Excited for another great season. After Coach Fitz, we are going to hear from some KU football players, some specialists, Rino Monteforte, the long snapper, and Martin Connington. How about Monteforte, the long snapper, being made available to the media? Man, interesting dude. We plugged this a little bit yesterday, but he's got the slick back hair. I believe he's from North Babylon, New York is where he's from. Got the Italian vibes. And
very Italian.
Man, spent his first 3 years at Notre Dame, then had 1 year at Cal, but you get those exciting vibes from Rino.
No, right away you're like, man, this guy could be like an extra in the Godfather movies. Like he's just so much fun, and unfortunately, probably not going to talk to him ever again, just because they don't really give you the long snappers. But no,
he's a special request. You never know.
Yeah, like I said, I might put one in, but he was a little ball of energy, man, and he's got a different vibe than most long snappers. Like he's like, got a little bit of a leadership mentality, which I think is really good, and you probably need that, especially with all that turnover, especially in the specialist room. Yeah,
so final season of his career will be spent here in Lawrence. And then, as I said, we're also going to hear from Martin Connington. He's a kicker who came over from Michigan State. What's interesting, Dan, recently Kansas has had a lot of one-and-done kickers and punters, but that's not the case this time around. Connington was a redshirt freshman last year at Michigan State. And then Matthew Gill, who we're going to hear from on tomorrow's show, a punter, a freshman. Yeah. So KU perhaps will have these guys for a while.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about Matthew Gill is that he's never played American football before. And he went through camps and, found this punting and kicking camp down in Australia and kind of, made his way through there, but has never really played American football, especially at this level, right? But he was just really good. And obviously Taiwo and a lot of the KU coaches have some connections down there, and they'll send them guys that they think they like. And, he's going to be a freshman. And, this is 3 Aussie kickers that Kansas is going to have in a row. And, I'll say one of them worked out pretty well. Damon Graves had his moments, right? But last year Finn Lappin I thought was tremendous, and he definitely had some really, really awesome punts last year, and hopefully Matthew Gill can do the exact same thing too. But yeah, Martin Connington as well. Connington, went to Michigan State and earned a job as a true freshman, and now he's here at Kansas. He's wanted to get into medicine, and this is one of the best places to be able to do that. So yeah, really excited for those guys, and obviously special teams isn't the sexiest of the units, I would say, but at the same time, it's so important, right? Because every single week in and week out, you watch college football, NFL, whatever it is, there are games that come down to game-winning kicks, or good field position on a punt, or whatever it may be, or even like punt returns and kick returns, right? So obviously all of that stuff is incredibly important, and these guys play probably a bigger role than they probably realize in Kansas potentially winning some games next year.
Rino, Monteforte, and Martin Connington we'll hear from later in the show, and then we'll get Matthew Gill tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports. Then we're talking KU offense with the passing game coordinator, Jim Zebrowski. Of course, last year was the offensive coordinator. He's been the quarterbacks coach. He still coaches the quarterbacks, but new title, passing game coordinator for Jim Zebrowski. And then we'll close out the show previewing KU baseball these next 3 days against Utah. But, Dan, we got to start with the big news. Greatest news for Jayhawk Nation in quite some time. Of course, about 10 days ago, Bill Self, when Kansas lost to St. John's, had his post-game press conference. And Coach said he's going to think about his future, discuss it with his family, and then decide where he's going to go from here. Of course, he's got the lifetime contract at KU. Still only 63 years old, younger than a lot of current coaches that are having success, albeit at the NCAA level. But we know he's had some heart issues in the past. Of course, had to miss a game earlier this season where Jock Vaughn stepped in as the acting head coach. But the bottom line is, Coach, via KU Athletics, releasing a statement that he will indeed be back for the 26-27 season. We're going to get that statement for you, but just unbelievably great news for KU. Here's the quote. Jayhawk Nation, with renewed clarity and the ongoing support from our administration, I remain focused and committed to Kansas basketball, competing for a national championship. I look forward to seeing and hearing the best fans in college basketball next season at Allen Fieldhouse, end quote. Like I said, great news. Bill Self, arguably the top college basketball coach in the country, unquestionably going to be hungry to get Kansas back to the top of the Big 12, back to being a legitimate national contender that KU really hasn't been the last 3 seasons. But one of the best to ever do it, the greatest coach in KU basketball history, just the 8th coach in KU basketball history. All around great news.
Yeah. Oh, man. I mean, we kind of danced around it a little bit maybe on the show just because, we literally had no idea, right? Nobody knew anything, regardless of what you said. Oh, I had a buddy who heard the nobody knew anything, right? And we knew this kind of from the jump. But we were kind of sitting on pins and needles there for a while. And again, I've talked about this a lot, about how nobody should want him gone by any means. I think it was just people lashing out maybe after the St. John's game or whatever it may be. But after the St. John's game, he did say that, he's going to go back and discuss it with his family and kind of see what his future holds. And, if he wanted to walk away, I would have totally got it, right? He's had these major health issues. He's not getting any younger. He probably wants to, he's got grandkids now, probably wants to, kind of enjoy his life and, just kind of get into retirement. But no, he's going to be coming back.
He's got that fire.
He's got that fire back in him. He has not only a renewed clarity, but he has ongoing support from the administration, which that quote to me sticks out to me. We can break this down maybe, and maybe it's as reckless speculation, but with the ongoing support of the administration, that means 2 things. That means that Goff and company, they really, really wanted him back, which obviously you should, right? He's a Hall of Fame head coach, the greatest KU basketball coach of all time. And then number 2, you think a little bit of money's coming in for NIL support. That's kind of maybe what I'm thinking as well. Now, again, reckless speculation, but he's not going to come back to Kansas without a run being put together around kind of in the offseason with money, with transfers, with freshmen, whatever that may be. He's coming back with a purpose, and he said it here, just trying to win national championships, right? This is probably going to be his last year. Who knows, right? He could go back for another, or maybe 3 or 4 or 5 more years.
Who knows? Speculating right away.
No, I'm not. I'm not speculating right away, but maybe I am. But I think that this is massive news because I wanted Bill Self to return. I'm just not ready for it to be over yet. I
would really hope that this next season, members of the media shy away from constantly asking Coach if he's considered hanging it up.
Yeah.
He always gives a good answer.
Yeah. He's a pro.
Absolute pro, and has handled this great, particularly with, he's the one dealing with all this.
Yeah.
He's dealing with any health issues that he has. And now he also has to deal with questions coming from people at a local level, people at a national level. I just don't want it to be January and people start asking him, so is this going to be your last year? Can you just let the dude breathe and let him coach? Again, he's only 63 years old, and I hope that he coaches as long as he wants. Just because he says he's coming back doesn't mean this is going to be his last year. The important thing is that he is coming back. There's no coach out there that would be better than head coach Bill Self. I don't think there's any question about that. 23 seasons at KU. He's led Kansas to 17 Big 12 titles, 4 Final Fours, 2 national championships. He has an additional year finishing as the #1 overall team, where Kansas was the odds-on favorite to win another national championship back in 2020. And again, he said before this past season, I believe it was with Gary Parrish, he said, I'm not going to leave until we get this thing back. And despite the fact that Kansas has been in the conversation, even if they've been a little bit on the auxiliary, they have been on the conversation, for being in the game. Yeah. They haven't been a 1 seed, 2 seed, national contender, Big 12 champions, and that's where Kansas was so often under Coach Self. And yeah, absolutely that's going to light a fire under him, not to mention the heartbreaking end of this past season. KU is going to, I think, come back better than ever, and now I think that Coach is back. There's going to be renewed energy from the donors, renewed energy from everybody in the program of, all right, we don't know how many more years we have with the GOAT. Let's do everything we can to set him up for success because, as we talked about, it comes down to the players a lot, and Kansas just hasn't had the number of dudes that they've had in the past. They weren't bringing in pros off the bench last year, the last couple of years, and they haven't gotten the production that realistically they've needed to compete with the best of the best in the Big 12 and nationally. And that's my hope, is that Coach saying he's coming back is, all right, let's put all our chips in the middle of the table. Let's get after this. Let's be that national contender.
Yeah, I mean, let's start thinking about the domino effect, right? If you look at it with Bill Self, by the way, I wanted to ask you a question too. Would you rather him come out and say that this is going to be his last year beforehand, just to get it out of the way, or just to stop reporters from asking that, essentially?
Because the questions, yeah.
But also, he doesn't strike me as that kind of... Because Coach K did that. Mike Krzyzewski did that. And Mike Krzyzewski is, how do I put this nicely, a narcissist. And he wanted that. I don't think Bill Self is like that.
There was the Derek Jeter, Mariano Rivera with the whole, again, and I don't know, did I say this on the air, the Texas Tech cheese platter thing?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, good, but that's kind of what I think. Like, you don't want to be going
to Wade did it. Like, it's just, it's cheesy.
You don't want to be going to Texas Tech and having them hand you a nice little cutting board. Thanks.
Somebody brings out a rocking chair. That's always a classic.
Enjoyed competing against you, and it's like, no, Coach doesn't want any of that. When he decides that he's done, it's going to be a situation where after the season, he says, I've been incredibly blessed to coach Kansas. It's time for us to move. Hopefully, since we love Coach Self so much and the success that he's had, that is a long time from now. But that realistically is how I envision this going. And again, while I understand Kansas hasn't been a top 5 team legitimately the last 3 years, with Coach Self at the helm, you're always going to be in the game. Yeah. You ain't going to be missing the NCAA tournament. You're always going to be in the game. It's just about providing him with some resources and pieces to get KU back to that level they were at for so long.
Right. I mean, and when you look at it, right, it's like, we had a couple of down years. Like, look at the last 4 years. Henry talked about this. The last 4 years, Kansas was a 1 seed, a 4 seed, a 7 seed, and a 4 seed. That's pretty damn good. Like, there's probably 250 to 300 other schools out there who would literally kill for that. And that's Kansas's worst 4-year stretch that we've ever had here at the university, at least in the Bill Self era, right? So, and you brought up a great point of, whenever Bill Self is coaching, you're always going to be in the game. It doesn't matter who's going to be out there. His coaching is just completely irreplaceable, in my opinion. And the way that he coaches the game and kind of the weight behind his name, the weight behind the Kansas brand. You can't talk about the Kansas brand without talking about Bill Self now, right? You can a little bit. You had James Naismith and you had Larry Brown and Roy Boy and Fog Allen. It's like right now, it's still fresh in everybody's heads. But right now, you cannot talk about the weight of the Kansas program without Bill Self. So the domino effect is, if he would have left, Kansas would have had to go hire somebody else. I don't know who they would have hired, but you're essentially starting from scratch, right? Especially coming after, not a great 4 years in terms of Kansas's identity. Not a great 4-year stretch, right? But with Bill Self coming back, I think this is so massive for recruiting. It's so massive for the donor base because they're excited to have Bill Self back. They love him. He knows a lot of these donors personally. You know what I mean? I think, and we can get into this too, but like Stokes, we've been hearing a lot about how Stokes is probably waiting for Bill Self's decision, and now that Bill Self has announced that he's going to be coming back, we can talk to Shea Wilbur about that probably later, maybe next week. But, I mean, still, there's a lot of things that are good that's going to be coming out of this. And, again, it's just you don't want to see that go away. I was not personally ready for it. I'm not ready. I don't think I'll ever be, right? Whenever he decides to hang him up, I'm still going to be saying that. I'm still going to be saying I'm not ready for him to hang it up. I still want the Bill Self era to be here, but it's going to happen, but it's not going to be this year.
I think if Coach gets a third national championship, then Coach and the fan base alike will be able to stomach it a little bit more.
All right.
Because 3 is so hard to do, and you want to go out on top if possible. Mm-hmm. And it's a hard tournament. We talk about that over and over. We have a love-hate relationship with the tournament. So who knows what's going to happen, but Kansas is going to have another chance with Coach Self. And I go back to the Arizona game on February 9th, and we have mixed feelings about that, I guess, just because looking back, it's like, man, was that the high point of the season? Probably, because you beat Arizona, who, as we've seen, is a complete wagon right now. And they were 23-0. They were number 1, but it didn't matter because they entered Allen Fieldhouse on Big Monday when Bill Self was on the sideline for the home team. And despite Kansas not having Darren Peterson, they beat Arizona. Huge. I mean, Bill Self is just he's the GOAT, man. And I'm just so excited that we get him for at least another season here on Mount Oread. After this, we are going to bring on the voice of the Jayhawks, Brian Hanni, get his thoughts on the return of the Hall of Famer. Little KU baseball chatter as well. That's next on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, and KansasNation.com.
Hey, Kansas fans. Coach Bill Self here, and you're watching Kansas Nation.
% APR plus $1,000 customer bonus, or get 0.9% APR on a 2026 Tiguan. Luxury just got a new definition.
Listen up, guys. Summer is coming, and there's no better time than right now to ignite your health and feel your best. Whether you're chasing peak performance, trying to reignite intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health Lawrence is your calling. Situated in a plush man cave setting, their services for testosterone replacement therapy, ED, vitamin therapy, and weight loss are sure to give you the boost you need. Make an online appointment today by searching for Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game in 2026 with Game Day.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
They want to shout out Miles Schneider and his team over at Crown Automotive, South Iowa in Lawrence. If you need a new vehicle or a used vehicle, Miles and his team will help you out. Great service people, great sales people over at Crown Automotive. If you're not local, check them out at crownautomotive.com. CrownAutomotive.com. Great selection, whether you're looking for Camrys, Tundras, RAV4s, anything. They've got a great selection over at Crown Automotive on South Iowa. So highly recommend going over there. Tell them the guys at Kansas Nation sent you. All right, we're going to bring on the voice of the Jayhawks, Brian Hanni, here in studio. Brian, you usually come on Thursdays. It's just worked out perfectly because now we can ask you about the big news with Coach Self returning to the sideline, and want to ask you about that from an on-the-court perspective, of course, and his desire to bring Kansas back to the top of the Big 12, to being national contenders. But as members of the media, it affects us off the court as well because we see how he treats us with so much kindness and how the program is run with so much class with him as well. So all aspects of Coach, everybody's thrilled that he's back.
Oh, so thrilled. Like, almost did backflips down Massachusetts Street to see you guys. I was so excited today. Somebody asked me last week, if it doesn't break the way we want it to, what were the best options and all that stuff. And I said, man, to me, option A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to Z, and then we'll start with the numbers. In terms of my preference, is Bill Self. And then if one day eventually that has to happen, whenever that is, obviously Travis Goff will be prepared and Kansas will command the best coaching talent available. But there's not a better fit for Kansas. And I know the last few postseasons haven't gone the way we wanted them to, but there's not a better guy that could be coaching Kansas in 2026, 2027, both with the roster construct as it sits today and with the momentum they've got, heading into some really big pieces to be added in the weeks ahead. So I was elated that news was confirmed. And, we started hearing whispers that the wind was blowing the right direction over the weekend and heading into the start of the week. But then it takes until Wednesday because, he's getting together with everybody internally and making sure they've got everything aligned and they can try to put forth the championship caliber roster that he's coming back to lead this team toward. He wouldn't come back unless he felt like he could make a run at that third ring for him, banner for the school. And I think he's so driven by that, has been for quite some time. I mean, even 2023, I think about the summer of 23 when we were in Puerto Rico, and he used the quote a couple times publicly, so I think I could say it. He, once the Adidas stuff was behind us and the NCAA investigation had been ruled upon and all that, that cloud was lifted and he could get after it again in recruiting and not have people recruiting negatively against Kansas. And the term he used a couple of times repeatedly was, we're going to go for the throat. Yeah. And I just loved that because, it was the type of emphasis, the way he said it and the passion behind those words that made you feel like, man, they're going all out. He is so driven to get that third ring and to keep going because a lot of guys that accomplish all that he has, a first ballot Hall of Famer, he's climbed to the top of the college basketball mountain twice in terms of titles. You don't have the same luster or fire late in your career that he absolutely still does. Spend 10 minutes at a Bill Self practice and you see he is still peak Bill in terms of energy, intensity, passion, drive, want to, all of the above. And I think obviously there were conversations that he had to have with his family in terms of his health and making sure he could feel good doing this, like he quoted from the podium there in San Diego after the game with St. John's. And once all the boxes were checked there, both from a health standpoint, from a family standpoint, from a university support standpoint, to make a run at the roster that he thinks is going to bring a seventh banner in Allen Fieldhouse, then I think at that point he was ready to go. And unfortunately, it was April 1st when they got everything completely ready to rock. Yeah. So they had to put out the disclaimer tweet before the actual release that we are not
I had to double check it like 5
any
times.
April Fool's shenanigans here. But that was the timing, and I'm pretty sure that's a lot of what went into it. But all of us internally over there are over the moon excited because when it became a possibility that this might be it, and there was a little bit of wondering if that might be the case, I'll be real with you guys. Like, it was emotional for a few of us. I'm sure a lot of us, especially his coaches. But for Greg and I, a few conversations we had just kind of wondering, could this be it, that kind of thing. I would be lying if I didn't tell you I didn't get choked up a couple times thinking about it. And you look back on 23 years with one guy, a pillar at one of the greatest institutions in America, one of the bluest of blue blood traditions in basketball, who not only is your winningest coach ever, but as Sean alluded to, is one of the most, not just media friendly, but just human being friendly superstars you could possibly have. As you know, I do all three sports, and I've had a chance to dabble in some of the professional stuff. Not everybody, not many, quite frankly, treat people the way Bill does from a position of success that Bill has earned. There's plenty of nice guys everywhere, and we got a lot of nice guys at Kansas, let me be clear. But when you're a first ballot Hall of Famer, when you've done everything he's done, over 800 career wins and won at numerous places, and you're universally respected everywhere, sometimes guys change even just a little bit. He hasn't. And the way he treats people, whether you're a media type asking a question after a tough loss, whether you're the manager refilling the Gatorade jug, or somebody, unlocking the field house at 4 a.m. to let these guys in. Doesn't matter what your role is in the system. If you're a part of it, he values you. He treats you with respect. He remembers your name. He asks you how you're doing. He has been there for me in different aspects of my life. I'm not afraid to admit it. When I was 25 going through a divorce, he called me in his office, and gave me a pep talk to pump me up and let me know it was going to be okay as a single guy. Who does that?
Yeah.
Bill Self really does that, and still does that 24 years later.
Right.
So the human being component, and you hear me say this when I introduce him at pep rallies or on Hawk Talk, and he probably, doesn't like all the added attention, but it needs to be said because not many are like him in that regard, where you are truly a Hall of Fame in your craft and your profession, but he is also a Hall of Fame individual with the way he not only treats other people, but instills confidence, infuses just positivity into the interactions and exchanges he has with people. Watch the way he stays and works the crowd after Hawk Talk and engages folks, hugs on a couple of kids that have disabilities that he shows extra attention and interest toward. Guys, I've worked other places where coaches left the show 20 minutes early so they could escape through the kitchen and not have to have those interactions. Okay? Not everybody is the way Bill Self is. Not many are the way Bill Self is. And I'm blessed that the two other head coaches I work with, Lance and Coach Fitz, are awesome too. Like 10 out of 10, no notes in terms of the way they treat people. But Bill, to be a first ballot Hall of Famer and keep that level of groundedness, humility, self-awareness, compassion. Guys, there's stories I could tell you about him that he wouldn't want me to tell because he gives when no one's looking. He and Cindy do things that they've asked me not to publicize because they want to do it anonymously, and so I'm not going to get into it. But I'm just telling you, there is a generosity and a compassion component that is far-reaching, further-reaching than the common fan even realizes. That is partly why I'm so fired up that I get to work with this guy every single day. So yeah, I don't think I could do the backflips down Mass Street that I talked about earlier because I'm 45 with weak Achilles, but I might try by the end of this interview. As you can tell, I'm pretty fired up. The Hall of Famer's coming back.
Yeah, man, us too, and we're already injured from slow pitch softball, so we better not try those backflips ourselves. And I mentioned this a little bit in the post-game locker room show after KU lost to St. John's, but I don't interact with Coach near as often as you do. You do a great job consistently with your pregame interviews. I mean, those are not easy, and you always are well educated, and you ask great questions. And Coach, as we know, he's always going to give you good answers, and he's so kind in defeat as well. You mentioned this at times when he gets questions, and a lot of times the questions come from student reporters who maybe aren't as long in the tooth and don't have as many reps doing things like that, and he consistently gives you a good answer. And that's when the lights are on. That's when everybody's listening to what Coach says, because when Coach Bill Self says something, it is news from a local perspective, from a national perspective. When the lights are not on, as I mentioned in the post-game locker room show, he's the same guy. He is. I had a brief interaction with him when I was in Chapel Hill with you, Brian, and I happened to be one of two guys in the fitness center. I walked in and Coach was in there working out. He walked out, made a point to say, "I'll see you out there, bud," to me, when he didn't have to. I was facing the other direction. He could have just walked out, not said anything, and that's just the type of guy that he is, and you just couldn't be more thrilled. The other thing, of course, that we want to talk about is the on-the-court stuff related to Coach returning. In his official quote, Brian, he says, "I remain focused and committed to Kansas basketball competing for a national championship." That's what we want at Kansas. We want to be at the top of the Big 12. We want to be national contenders. We haven't quite been that the last 3 years. Perhaps this is the jolt of energy for everybody in the program, support staff, et cetera, to get KU the guys that are needed to be at that top tier level, because we've had really good players these last 3 years, but we haven't had good enough players to be right up at the top. Pair those great players with a first ballot Hall of Famer, and we could indeed have fireworks.
Completely agree, and that's where these next few weeks get so exciting, both in terms of potential high school senior additions and portal pieces that I know Kansas will have the necessary resources to go out and swing for the fences. Last year, obviously, made some nice additions in the portal, but weren't the splashiest in the portal, in terms of the rankings and all that. And I'm not saying they will be super splashy here, because maybe your biggest addition doesn't come from the portal. We'll see. But they're going to be so proactive, and they're going to make sure that they have the depth necessary to not just be formidable in the league, but do the type of stuff you're talking about and making a run at another banner year. I think what clearly was unfortunate about the team last season was some of the bench portal options didn't come to fruition in the way they were envisioned to play at Kansas. Obviously, the Jaden Dawson fit was not the 3 3-pointers per game type guy they thought they were getting. Cole took longer. We saw some flashes in San Diego, certainly, and you have a lot of high hopes for a young man like that in his future, because he's still just a freshman. But that's a guy that started the first 5 or 6 games of the year, and I think they envisioned a very different trajectory for him and role for him. Clearly, Melvin and Trey were fabulous additions, but even those two had stretches of inconsistency, including in the postseason, that ultimately played a role in derailing your season. And so I think for Kansas, there's a lot of needs to identify, not just in who are going to be the heaviest of lifters in the primary first 5 or 6 guys, but I saw the firepower some of those other teams could come off the bench with, and we didn't have that this year. And so I think that'll be a major point of emphasis. I think we want to get bigger and stronger in the post, play more physical in the post. Hopefully, you got a chance to bring a guy like Paul Mbia back, and we saw just the tip of the iceberg of him with what he showed down the stretch. Coach Self saying on senior day that last couple of weeks of the regular season, he made tremendous strides ever since moving to the scout team and getting more repetitions in practice. We'll see about the rest of the front court with Flory and Bryson. We're obviously big fans of both of those young men, but I think whatever it looks like, and hopefully there's a chance for anybody to come back that wants to come back to still be here. But I think we do need to get a little bit more physical there, and I think we need to have a couple more three-point shooters than what we had. Some of that's coming in already, and guys you signed in the fall, but I think you need some 22-year-old sharpshooters coming in too that this time click, because it is a crapshoot. I mean,
right.
Everybody wanted Nick Timberlake, and I love Nick, by the way, great guy. We still text all the time. He's a Patriots fan, and we were texting about Drake May all season. But not always do the results at the new stop equate to what you saw on film and what you thought the fit might be. Sometimes Cam Spencer winds up being the better of the two.
And it's not like you've got all day to figure out who to bring in. I mean, who is it, Lance, who calls it speed dating? I mean, that's kind of what it is in the portal. So,
totally.
Absolutely got to hope that it sticks.
Yeah.
But I want to see, a couple of the major wing scorers, 3-point prowess, needs to be there, obviously. And then the type of depth, because I think as you watch these teams that are still dancing, there are several things that we typically have at Kansas that we didn't quite have this year that hopefully will be ingredients that are very obvious and evident by the time we tip it off next year.
Yeah. Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, joins the show here in studio. And Brian, one more note on Bill Self. And we talked about how excellent of a man he is, and in my brief interactions that I've had with him, he has just been nothing but kind to me, and everything along those lines. But when you look at what he's done here at the University of Kansas, he keeps on consistently getting asked, by the way, over these last couple of years of, about his retirement and, when is it going to happen? And he always says, guys, I'm still having fun. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm not having fun anymore, might hang it up, or not obviously verbatim, but something along those lines. Do you see him still having fun in this? Obviously, when you look at the last few years, there's fans who are hostile, and you get that everywhere, right? But when you look at Bill Self, I can see him having fun out there. I can see him, at the podium with a smile on his face, regardless of what happens, and he's joking around with us and all different kinds of things. Do you share that same sentiment? Do you still feel him having fun? Is that like one of the main reasons why he came back? Absolutely.
This is my 10th year as voice of the Jayhawks. My 10th year getting to go to practice any day I want to, which usually is 3 times a week. And there are some groups that have been more lovable to coach or easy to be around than others. There have been some groups that are energizing and they kind of galvanize the energy in the room, and it propels and builds upon itself because they're such a fun group. And there's other groups that have been tougher. I think he really liked this group. Now, obviously, the unexpected, unforeseen, consistent cramping issues of Darren Peterson that became such a story and created a lot of mid-season, will he or won't he? Is it identity A or identity B of this team? Because it kind of felt like it had splintered into 2 different teams, whether he was on the floor or not. That was something that I think was a new challenge for Coach that he didn't anticipate and probably didn't love certain aspects of. And yet he loved Darren, and he loved coaching Darren, and their relationship is fantastic. And I think that, the only wish Coach Self could go back and do anything different would be that they'd be blessed with good health all season, and you can see the real explosive version of Darren that he saw when he recruited him for the last couple of years. But this group as a whole, the personalities on this team, Melvin, for example, a guy that Bill really latched onto and, was as beloved and respected of a player as Bill's had since Devontae. We all know Bill was is super close with DeJuan Harris. But in terms of a guy that's one of Bill's guys that also the fan base latches onto, Melvin had more personality than anybody since Devontae, and Bill likes that. He coaches toughness first and foremost, but he loves to coach personality too. Yeah. Because that can be something that from a leadership position has a ripple effect that extends far greater than you realize. And so I think that was energizing for Bill in that regard too. I think he really liked this group, and I think he's really excited about the personalities on next year's team, the athleticism, the exciting new pieces that are coming in via high school senior signees, and then also, the potential that lies out there still in the portal. But did he have fun? He certainly did. Is he still incredibly motivated? He absolutely is. Are those practices every bit as intense, and they're getting after it, and he's leading the charge because he wants Kansas to win so stinking bad, and he wants that 7th banner up there before he leaves? 100%. And so long as those questions are always answered with a resound yes, he'll still be coaching, so long as he feels good doing it physically. And the good news is, in the 10 days that he sat down and looked at all this, like I said earlier, all those boxes were checked. And so let's get after it. Next time I sit on this couch, I don't know when that'll be. Maybe we do a post-portal update show or something like that. But I can't wait to watch these next 3 or 4 weeks, because while we've had great anticipation heading into each of the last 4 seasons and have been disappointed in some cases, I think there might be special anticipation and expectation this year, not seeing how the dust is going to settle on the roster just yet, but just thinking about what it could be, thinking about how close we came to possibly having to consider for the first time in 24 years someone different on the sidelines. Yeah. I think that's a renewed energy campus-wide. I think that's, the old line, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. I think some people over the last week and a half were forced to confront the reality that for the first time in their lifetime or first time in their adult lifetime, there might be somebody different standing on that sideline. And no matter how exciting options might be once we have to cross that bridge, the truth of the matter is the greatest to ever do it is still here, and until he decides he doesn't want to coach here any longer, we should feel fortunate and blessed that he's our guy. And that was a very uncomfortable hypothetical for a lot of us. As I started to say earlier, I was outwardly emotional in private circles, when we thought there might be a chance that it might not break this way, because I'm 45 years old. For over half my life and for my entire adult life, this has been one of the key figures, not just in my professional life, but in my personal life as well. And I don't want to think about life without Bill Self on the sidelines at Kansas. And so what I'm getting at is, I think for those of us that fully appreciate him as much as we should and have lived through this for all 23 plus years, the fact that there was even a glimmer of possibility, a flicker of possibility, I should say, that he might not be here, forced us to confront the reality of how much we value him. And if that's not rejuvenating and galvanizing and energizing heading into next season from a fan and supporter standpoint, I don't know what is. So in the same way that he wants to finish on a much higher note, possibly go out on top, don't we all want that for him?
Absolutely.
Tenfold? Oh my gosh. I didn't want the last impression of Coach Self to be losing on a buzzer beater and, the frustrating kick toward the press row that we saw. And then he was kind of looking around at the crowd afterwards. We describe it on the air. You could just kind of see him taking it all in and wondering to himself, surely this isn't how it ends.
Yeah.
We have a very different image in our head of how we'd like to see it end for him in his last game. And that's him on the top of a ladder with a fist pumped and a net in his hand. And here's hoping the first steps towards such dreams begin in these next few weeks.
Yeah, no doubt. And, we've been so lucky at Kansas. You look, North Carolina, I think, has had 19 coaches in their time. Kansas has had 8. I always talk about that. That's one of my 2 favorite stats of all time. We've only had 8 coaches in nearly 130 years at KU. And going back to how badly Coach Self wants to win, they've all wanted to win here. I remember Roy Williams saying, when having to answer a question about the fans wanting to win or the fans wanting championships or all that, and Roy said something along the lines of, I want to win more. I want the Jayhawks to win more in my little pinky finger than any of the fans want the Jayhawks to win. I promise you that. And Coach Self, again, you can see he wants to win so much more than anybody else. As badly as the fans want to win, Coach Self wants to win more, and you can still see that fire. Just so happy he's back, because to your point, Brian, it's all we've ever known, and we don't want to face the reality of number 9 here at KU. And quite frankly, we have all of the faith in Travis Goff, but sometimes, as UNC and other programs have experienced, sometimes it doesn't work out, right? Even if you think it's going to work out. And we have all the faith whenever that time comes that Travis Goff will make the right hire. But it's just such a special seat to sit in. And I think the fact that there was a little bit of concern among KU fans and there was a what if, I think this statement now, everybody, like I said, is rejuvenated. Hopefully it's that extra bounce that Kansas basketball needs to get to the top. Last thing for you, Brian, KU baseball, want to get into that. They've got a big series. I know you'll be at Hoagland Ballpark a little bit later today. 3 against Utah. We talked to Coach Fitz yesterday, talked to Augusto Mungarieta, and as well as Matisse Nayral, who's been fantastic. Another great group of guys. They're putting up a lot of runs and should be another fun spring for KU baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. They're averaging about 9.5 runs a game over their last 11 and going 9-2 in that stretch. So they're cooking with gas right now. This is what they thought it would look like. Now, maybe the pitching rotation and the roles Friday through Sunday or Thursday through Saturday, as this week may be because of the Easter holiday, maybe that's looked a little bit different. But in terms of what they're now able to do at the bat and the full head of steam they take into the month of April, this is what Coach Fitz and Coach Coyne built this roster thought it might be. I mean, Coach told me, I remember we were talking about, this will sound silly, but we were talking back in October, and I said, hey, I'm going to have to do the Round Ball Classic earlier than ever this year because of the World Cup, and we can't get hotels and flights and all that, and so we're probably going to have to move it up. And by the way, this is not meant to be a plug for Round Ball, June 4th and 5th, by the way. But I said, is this going to be a problem? He's like, well, we're hoping to host. So,
absolutely.
we'll make it easy on you. You know what I mean?
Right.
And out the gates, there was a time when they were 10-8, and at that point, you're just thinking about making the tournament. And right now, that's, let's be clear, still the number one motivation. But if you look at the way they scheduled, some of the RPI boosting wins they've been able to gather on the road, there's a lot of reasons to think that they're going to make back-to-back trips to the regional. And if they keep going at the pace they've been going in league play, currently 3rd in the standings, 6-3, a lot of teams on their schedule that require both opportunities to enhance your tournament resume, but also opportunities to lose because they're good opponents. That also means it's an opportunity to possibly compete for the Big 12 title because you can take on these teams head-to-head, with the exception of TCU, who was a non-con midweek game. But you got some of these other teams right around you in the standings, like West Virginia coming to Lawrence here shortly. And so there's chances for Kansas to compete for a Big 12 crown. I think there's a great chance that they'll be in the NCAA regionals again, and maybe, just maybe, as a host, and he'll help me out with that scheduling conundrum that we were joking about 5 months ago. But fired up to call these games. We talked about how great Bill is. Coach Fitz is an absolute dream to work with because, again, a guy who is so universally respected and beloved in his profession, but is first and foremost just an amazing father and husband and coach and leader of young men. And tonight, as we get set for their autism awareness game, an initiative that's so important to him because Max, his second son, is on the spectrum. What they've done with this sensory inclusive experience at the ballpark, where starting 10 minutes prior to the first pitch, there's no sound, and it's almost kind of eerie because you have 1,800 people walking around, but there's no music, there's no clapping, there's no PA guy, and everything's gradually brought up. The volume level's brought up just a little bit by bit, piece by piece, inning by inning. And I think it's eye-opening because it certainly makes you think about what it would be like to encounter some of those challenges if you were battling autism yourself. And so love it that he's using his platform for a cause like that. And again, another guy we're really fortunate to get to work with. Yeah, absolutely. Coach Fitz, we're going to hear from next segment, but a lot to be excited about for Kansas baseball as well. They've also got UCF coming to town, an 8-1 team. So Utah, though, 5-4. Kansas is 6-3 in Big 12 play. That's going to be getting underway very shortly. Thursday, Friday, Saturday here on this Easter weekend, KU and Utah. Brian, as always, appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you guys. Always a pleasure. All right. Hey, real quick before we throw it to break, I want to tell you about Central Bank. With Jayhawk checking from Central Bank, Jayhawk fans can carry their pride with them wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card. Central Bank is proud to support the traditions and communities that bring people together. As the proud community banking partner of KU, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life. If you're ready to wave the wheat beyond the stands, learn more about Jayhawk checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. That's jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, member FDIC. Coach Fitz after this, ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
Miles Schneer's Crown Automotive, founding partner of Kansas Nation. Visit them at crownautomotive.com. Experience the Crown difference. Carfax top-rated dealer, Crown Automotive.
Spring into something fun at Family Leisure, America's largest pool and spa dealer. Don't miss out. Buy your new pool today. Enjoy it all summer. Spring specials on hot tubs and swim spas. Spas from $34.99. Go with the pros. Fast professional delivery and installation. Check out this season's hottest patio furniture designs. Family Leisure also offers the highest quality chemicals, toys, and accessories to keep the fun going all summer long. Your one-stop shop for family fun. Spring sale going on now at Family Leisure.
% APR plus $1,000 customer bonus, or get 0.9% APR on a 2026 Tiguan. Luxury just got a new definition.
Hanni and the Hawks is presented by Jefferson's with 2 Lawrence locations, home of the best wings in town. 21 signature sauces. You got to check them out. But if wings aren't your thing, how about a burger? They hand patty their certified Angus beef every single day. Also, hand bread their tenders. They make their ranch in-house. There is truly something for everybody at Jefferson's. Go see my buddy Brandon Graham and the entire crew at Jefferson's, either on Mass or Wakarusa in Lawrence, Kansas.
Hi there, Gary Joslin with Joslin's Jewelry. I'm not the class ring company. I'm a mom and pop jewelry store for 42 years. We were recently voted the gold medal #1 jewelry store in the greater Kansas City area by Ingram's Magazine. Come see us at Joslin's Jewelry, 9529 Antioch. Joslin's Jewelry, the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family.
priceless jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to schedule your winter services today.
Welcome back. Mitch Bales and his team do great work over at Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
Yeah, be sure to check them out. Just Google Game Day Lawrence, and they should be the first ones to pop up. If you're not feeling like yourself, not feeling 100% healthy, I urge you to check out Game Day Men's Health. Us as guys, we like to push things off until the very end. You push it back, if you will, and it's just, that's something. Your health is the most important thing when it comes to your lifestyle, right? I mean, there's a lot of guys out there who don't have the energy to go to the gym, go to work, or spend time with their family. The most important thing, I urge you to check out Game Day Men's Health. 50% of men by the age of 40 deal with low testosterone, and 60% of men deal with erectile dysfunction at some point in their life. They can help with that. They also help out with a number of different other things as well. They have IV drips, B12 shots, peptides, vitamins, whatever that you can think of in order to get you back in the game. And it's a plush man cave-like setting as well. And the best part about it, your first visit is 100% complimentary. Go there, tell them the guys from Rock Chalk Sports sent you. It's totally free. They take your blood. It's a 3-step process to make sure that you're fully healthy. If you are, fantastic. If not, they're going to do everything that they can to get you back in the game.
Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. There you go, James.
Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
You owe me a Coke Cherry Float. How is that, by the way?
It's really good.
Yeah, you like it?
I'm not trying to do a...
This is not a plug.
This is not like product placement, but it is delicious.
Hey, let's go to Hoagland Ballpark. Yesterday we caught up with KU head baseball coach Dan Fitzgerald.
Hey guys, go ahead.
Coach, just talk about last night. You guys sweep Mizzou again. That had to be cool, especially with how it ended.
Yeah, it was awesome. Told my wife that 4th inning took 6 months off my life, and the 8th put 8 months back on. So I was a net 2 last night. But yeah, what an awesome game. I loved how we came out. We were super prepared, and Cannon was great. Had a plan to kind of space it and use our bullpen, and ran into a ton of trouble in the 4th and just couldn't get out of it. But I thought it was awesome in the 5th how we chipped away and got 1 back. And so at that point, when it was 8-7, we just continued to put together quality at bats, and then obviously punched it through in the 8th. But I thought Seidel really, he was outstanding. But it was a crazy environment. Like, it was legit hostile over there, and our guys just fed off it. They loved every second of it. So. Really fun. Obviously, rivalry games are super important to college athletics, and that was a great win for us.
Did you know that your team would be the one that could feed off of it, or is that something you learn when a rivalry game happens?
I think I think I thought we would, and opening weekend we saw some of it. UTRGV was that times a bunch, and they were right on top of you. And our guys loved that. So, and then obviously here our students are insane. So they love that. I thought in the fall I thought they'd have that in them, but you don't know until you're in the fire. So it's been fun to see them respond.
Last year's group kind of had that comeback mentality. Is that something that you're seeing forged with this year's team as well?
For sure. And I think the core group of returners, probably a big chunk of that, and then probably just a little bit of the fabric of who we are as a program and what we value. And I think, it sounds cliche-ish, the day-to-day thing, but it's very real here. Like, last night was awesome, and then when the guys get done lifting and come out here to practice, it's over and done with. Use the energy from last night to have a great practice today to get ready for a great weekend.
Last year, offensively, you guys had a lot of talented guys. This year, is there even more depth in the lineup? Because it sure seems that way with any given night. It could be somebody else, and you guys are putting up a lot of runs.
Yeah. Coming into the year, I thought the depth of our lineup would be stronger. I had questions on, if we'd have a Jackson Hauge who's going to hit 20 home runs. Obviously thought that, Brady and Dariel would be the guys that that carried in that category. And did think we'd have a bunch of guys that hit double-digit home runs, but I didn't know if we'd have a guy that hit 25 or whatever. So the length of our lineup is our strength right now. Like Dylan Schlotterbeck's the greatest 9-hole hitter in college baseball, and unbelievable direction to the middle of the field. And you just go up and down the whole thing. From Bach's been awesome, and we've shuffled the lineup a ton. We've actually yesterday may have been the first time we played the same lineup 2 days in a row, which I'm sure BP will point out to me later today. But Baldridge has been awesome. LeBlanc's been awesome. And you just go through it, and it's a quality at bat after quality at bat. So yeah, I think there are a lot of similarities. We don't have as much swing and miss as we did a year ago. And I don't know that in a long drive competition, last year's team probably gets us, but in a consistency of 1 through 9, I think it's a better strength for us this year.
Pitching wise, talk about the weekend rotate. We haven't talked to you a ton recently, but Bodie slides into Friday, Dom's now Sunday, and obviously Matisse has been great on Saturday. Just kind of take us through your mindset process of making that transition.
Yeah, I think you're always just trying to find the right pieces and how does it line up, and early in the year it was funky because we played you start on a Friday and then we had a midweek on a Wednesday, and then ended up with 2 Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday series back to back, and so Cook kind of fell into that Thursday role, and the way it's spaced out, it made sense to bump guys back to give them an extra day of rest rather than bump them forward. And you kind of eye Easter weekend and the BYU weekend in terms of those are spots that you're going to have to go on short rest. So how you line that up is really weeks in advance, because we can't bump a guy from Saturday to Thursday or Sunday to Friday. You can do Saturday to Friday or Friday to Thursday. So it just worked out that way. I think the rotation's important that you have Friday, Saturday, and Sunday lined up, but I think it's more important that you have 3 really good starters that are basically interchangeable. I mean, the way that Matisse and Dom pitched the last 2 weekends, they're both what Friday night arms look like. And then Bodie was just honestly, what kind of the selling factor for us is we played at McNeese on Sunday, and kind of the thought going into that Sunday game was we have to have the lead because they had a bullpen guy, and I'll butcher his name if I try to say it, but they had a guy in the bullpen that was just looming, and the second they got the lead, we knew he was coming in. We got the lead early, and he came in and stuffed us for 4 or 5 innings, and he was unbelievable. And then I think it was the following week they bumped him to the rotation, and we were like, Bodie's been so good for us, and he's so competitive. And on Friday night, you kind of need a guy that wakes up looking for a street fight. Bodie's got some of that in his blood. So it's been good. I don't anticipate messing with it. And those 3 are great athletes and great workers. They all recover well, so it's been good.
For the up and down season Dom's had at times, just how good was it to see a series like Cincinnati for him?
Yeah, he was electric. Absolutely. He threw a 98.2 mile an hour fastball in like the 6th with like a 94 mile an hour sinker. So he's got 2 fastballs going. He's got 2 breaking balls going. He's got great feel for his changeup, and I think he's just freed up and competing right now. I don't think he's got. Dom never really has a whole lot going on stress-wise, I don't think, but right now he's as free as can be, so it's been fun to watch him.
What has it been like seeing what LeBlanc's been able to accomplish for you guys of late, especially in big moments?
Oh, he's awesome. He's been incredible. We've had really good shortstops here in Cranford and Smith, and LeBlanc has been every bit of both those guys defensively. Maybe those guys will get mad at me for saying this, but maybe even a tick more range. Different players than those 2, but he has been so good defensively. He can run. He's been able to steal bases. He can move the ball the other way when he needs to move guys, and then the power just continues to get better and better. So wasn't surprising, really. We knew he was good, and I think it's been fun to see how competitive he is. Like he is. There's a reason that he won a national championship in junior college. He's pretty tough.
the autism awareness game is obviously one that's important to you. Just how important is it that you've been able to do it every year since you've been here?
Yeah, it's as an assistant coach, I kind of had the thought and the idea that that'd be a fun thing to do someday. Worked for incredible head coaches who would have been more than willing to do it then, but as an assistant, it's, all I thought about was recruiting and getting ready for the next game. And so when I got here, there were some things in place with the head coach's playbook where we were able to do some things to engage our student athletes in some different causes and things that were important to us. And, I've always joked, for better or worse, the players get some of my life. They I think there are great parts to that, and I think they're, are and I think that's true of any head coach. Your life kind of becomes, all of our lives kind of intermingle. And so the idea, which I talked about literally on day one here of this autism awareness game, we had a great first one, and it's just continued to grow and grow, and literally to draw awareness to something that's affecting lots and lots of families. And we've done just that. It's a very small piece of it, but we get such an incredible platform as coaches and student athletes, and to be able to use it for good, I think is really important. So there are a lot of families and people in this community that will be here that otherwise wouldn't necessarily. Kelly and I in our spare time are not running around to different ballparks, looking for time to spend with Max at a game. That's like, I was at Will's game the other day, and if you spend 3 innings just kind of getting settled in. And so to create an environment that's that is encouraging those families to come out, where we're trying to make it as sensory neutral as possible, is really special. And I think there's and I never word this correctly, but there's an awareness piece to it, but there's also a real celebratory piece to it too, of my life is incredibly impacted by autism. Our family's life is incredibly impacted, and I could write down a list of things that are tough. The list of things that are amazing would never end. And so we look through the world through a completely different lens because of Max. And I think that our players probably get a little bit of that. I know my staff does. I've got a great picture of a staff meeting that we had before the season, where Max came to the office with me one morning, and we're all sitting there, and Max is sitting on the couch, and he's leaned up against Hancock, and Hancock's got his notes out, and he's presenting, and Max is just leaned up against him. And stuff like that happens all the time with our families, just intertwining. You look up, and Brandon's got Reese out on the field, or Ryan's got Murphy down here, Tyler's got his kids in the cage. So there's a intermingling of that our players get to experience. But I think it's on a personal level, I think knowing that 30 whatever guys on our team are seeing a non-typical developing kid and experiencing that, I think it might not change their life now, but they'll be more aware of things moving forward. And so, it's a super long answer, but it's been a really special thing for us, and the way that the community, I can't wear this hat out in the community without 10 people coming up to me and talking about a relative, a family member, a friend, whatever, who's impacted by autism. So it's been really cool.
With how much rosters change year over year, how cool is it to see each roster you've had embrace just this game and everything that is part of it?
Yeah, I think I know our coaches probably said things about our generation, and I don't know what they would have said. We didn't have cell phones, so they're, this generation watches too much TV or whatever it was back then. And I think every generation kind of looks at the new one, and gosh, it used to bug me when guys would text me on the bus, because I'm like, guys, I'm 14 feet in front of you. You can literally just say my name and I'll hear you. And now it's just a part of it. Like, I text guys who are 6 feet behind me on the bus now. I text my wife from different rooms in our house, like, hey, man. So I think things evolve, but we do have a tendency to look and say, well, kids these days. I look at it a little differently of I'm so impressed with the generation that I get to coach. They are they're kind, they're empathetic, they're accepting, they're aware. They have I'd say that's one word that I'd use to describe last year's team and this year's team is kind. Like, they are very, very kind to each other. Now, they can pop each other on some stuff too. It's very funny, and I don't get half the jokes they talk about, but they're very kind. And so I think to watch them interact with kids like Max and other people in different environments and different settings is really cool. And we try to do that with a bunch of things. That's why we go to the Negro League Museum, so that they can experience something that will impact them forever. And I've often said if 10 years from now they're talking about I was going to say our steel sign, but we have 20 of those this year. If they're talking about our bunt coverages, then I have massively failed as a head coach. So I think hopefully all those things are making an impact.
Looking at Utah, they've put up some big offensive numbers recently. Just what stands out to you about them?
Yeah, they've got a real Friday night guy, and we had a great game against them last year. And Brett came in with a one-pitch save, I think. Dom went 9 2/3, had a banger at 8 2/3, had a bang play at first base that could have gone either way, and Breck ended up throwing one pitch, line out to the right fielder against a really good pitcher. So Friday night, they've got a great one. Saturday, they've got a really good starter. They're TBD on Sunday. So I think it starts on the mound. They've got a nice staff, and then very deep offensive lineup. Versatile. Coach Williams, their hitting coach, has been one of the top offensive guys around. We coached against each other 20 years ago when I was at Flagler and he was at Embry-Riddle. He's really sharp. They went an entire game last year against us on Saturday and 0 punch-outs. We beat them, I think it was 12-4. I think they hit a home run kind of late. Was it 12-4? You don't remember. I don't either. I think it was 12-4. I think they hit a home run late, and but they did not strike out once in the game. So they've got a really good offensive approach. Gary Henderson is, coached literally forever and has been at some unbelievable places and has had nothing but success. So when I think of Utah, I think of really well coached, really fundamental. They play defense, tough lineup 1 through 9, and they can pitch. So it's, if you quoted me on Cincinnati last week, it would have sounded very similar, and whoever we play next week, I'm sure it'll sound the same. So these guys are really good, and it's another weekend in the Big 12. We got to be buckled up.
Anything else, guys? Thanks.
That's head coach Dan Fitzgerald of KU Baseball. The Jayhawks and the Utes, first of 3 beginning tonight. Looking forward to that. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, of course, here on this Easter weekend. After this, we are going to go back to the football building. We're going to hear from a couple KU specialists. You're not going to want to miss the interview we had with KU long snapper Rino Monteforte, also Kansas kicker Martin Connington, 2 additions to the KU football program. And then we'll have Jim Zebrowski following that, KU's passing game coordinator. All that coming up next on Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
Hey, what's up, Chuck Nation? What are we doing out here? And make sure you check out the new kansasnation.com. Love Chuck.
Now 0% APR plus $1,000 customer bonus. Or get 0.9% APR on a 2026 Tiguan. Luxury just got a new definition.
Listen up, guys. Summer is coming, and there's no better time than right now to ignite your health and feel your best. Whether you're chasing peak performance, trying to reignite intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health Lawrence is your calling. Situated in a plush man cave setting, their services for testosterone replacement therapy, ED, vitamin therapy, and weight loss are sure to give you the boost you need. Make an online appointment today by searching for Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game in 2026 with Game Day.
Together, we're elevating our potential, our pride, our traditions, and our dreams. Together, we're opening up a whole new world of possibilities. Elevate your University of Kansas experience with Jayhawk checking from Central Bank. Central Bank and KU, elevating together.
Spring into something new at Family Leisure. Patio furniture. We've got it all. Chat height to bar height and everything in between. 5-piece dining sets only $9.99. Huge in-stock selection of deep seating and sectional groups. Customizable to fit your space. This aluminum deep seating collection now only $12.99. Make a splash. Pools and spas are priced to move. 30% off remaining pool tables, arcades, and other game room items. Spring sale going on now at Family Leisure.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports. Well, we've been teasing it all week, but we're about to throw to KU long snapper Rino Monteforte. Again, he started his first 3 years of college at Notre Dame and had a very important snap. And it's interesting because the art of football, right? You just don't know. He talked about how when Coach O initially recruited him out of high school, he said when he came to one of his games, I think it was the best he's ever snapped.
It was just like, a camp.
Yeah, camp. Okay. You don't think of it too much as just a casual football fan, but a lot goes into that. And then Reno eventually had the biggest snap of his career, which led Notre Dame into the national championship game a few years ago.
Yeah.
Against Coach K.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he talks about that. He talked about, talking with Coach K about, how that was just a lot of fun. You're really going to enjoy this press conference with Rino Monteforte. He is an interesting guy, man, and just a little ball of energy, which you absolutely love to see. But yeah, I mean, he was a starting long snapper in the national championship game.
Yeah, started as a walk-on, ended up doing that. That's pretty cool. Rino Monteforte at the KU football building a couple days ago.
Joe said a second ago that you were at a camp when they were at Buffalo when you were in like middle school. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah, he's over-exaggerating a little bit with the whole middle school part there. But Coach O and I met summer going into 10th grade, so I would just have finished my freshman year in high school. And we joked about it when I came on my visit here and still joke about it to this day. It's the best day I've ever snapped in my life, playing in a lot of really big-time games. And he offered me that day in the 9th grade before I'd ever played a snap varsity football. And that to me was so awesome, and it's crazy how everything becomes full circle, I'm a believer in God, practicing Catholic in my faith here, and so blessed to be here at Kansas. And I truly believe that 8 years later, he believed in me then, he believed in me now. God put me here for a reason.
What's the transition from your other schools to Kansas been like, and how are you settling in so far?
It's been awesome. The way this place is structurally run here is on to par with the best of the best that I've experienced in this game. From strength and conditioning, Coach Sleeve and the staff, they are incredible. And they push you to the point, it's not like a push you to the side, push you. It is, we want to get the best version of every single person, all 105 people on this roster, every single day. And that's been awesome. The nutrition, these facilities, these are the best facilities I've ever experienced in my whole career. I never want to leave. Honestly, again, some days you get in here at 6 a.m., I'm not out of here till 4 or 5 o'clock, whether that's watching film, cryotherapy, sitting in a sauna, watching TV, just chopping it up with the guys, building, becoming a part of this brotherhood. I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to be here now and be a part of this brotherhood. So special, so excited to get to work.
What has it been like getting to know an entirely new group of guys? And I guess several of you are coming here for the first time too.
Yeah, definitely. I've known Martin a little bit throughout my career. Again, we've trained with the same coach for a while. Again, obviously, special teams is a very small world, so you get to know each other from all different places. But it's been cool. Again, fortunately, and I guess unfortunately, I would say fortunately, I've gotten to meet so many different specialists due to transfers and graduation and all different sorts of things. So really just starting to build the brotherhood and learn how each other work. We talk about in our leadership meetings with Coach Sleeve that a good relationship always has to have some friction, right? So for me to be able to best serve Martin, Matt, Hollis, and Dane, we need to have a little friction, which is good. That's a really good thing, because at the end of the day, our little friction here and there right now is going to be what's going to allow us to kick game-winning field goals, hit tight punts with 1 second left on the clock to help this team win football games.
You've been in some of those high-pressure situations in your career. What have you taken from those moments, and what has that been like? It's
been very cool. Again, I'm grateful to have played at 2 awesome stops before this, played in a lot of big games, got to play in the college football playoff and national championship. I'm very grateful for those experiences. And the number one thing I've learned is And each year I've had a different big moment, right, that kind of defined that season. And we talk about it a lot here, how you could, if I go into one of these situations saying I want to put the ball in the right hip, I want to snap laces out right to the holder's hand, it might not always, it's not just going to happen by me wishing it, right? It's about attacking the process to achieve those goals. So by making sure that I continue to enhance my process and be the same person, be as consistent as I possibly can every day at practice, every day in the weight room, meeting room, and such, is what is going to allow me to achieve what we want to do. Process first, then the goals will come with the process. And that's something that I believe that this team has done a great job of from top to bottom, and I think that's what's going to separate us across from other teams as we get into the season.
Do you have a favorite snap or a best snap?
I mean, we beat. It's funny. As soon as I got here, I went to Coach K. Obviously, I got to beat Coach K in the Orange Bowl to go to the national championship. Game-winning field goal with 12 seconds left in 2024-2025 season. So obviously, that's probably my favorite snap thus far. But I'm looking forward to making so many great memories here at Kansas. Again, hopefully a lot of high-pressure kicks, or hopefully lots of PATs. That's the goal, right? Again, listen, the goal is that here, and maybe if we meet in the summer or training camp, this should be the only time we all get to talk to each other. So, but yeah, that would probably be my favorite snap thus far, but looking forward to making lots of really good memories here at Kansas.
Was Coach K happy that you brought it up?
No, not at all. Not at all. I felt bad because, you know, we talk about brotherhood and connection. One of the things that we do here is we talk in small groups just about life, right? Not about football, to try to build a brotherhood and build a bond with one another. And we were talking about heartbreaks. And I'll tell a story quick. My dad passed away in 2011 on September 4th at 11:11 a.m. From a 15-year bout with brain cancer. I was 7 years old at the time. So we go to play in this game, and obviously 11:11 is something that's been a big thing in my life, always like a sign at like different hardship points and such. And where my mom is sitting in that game, she's got her phone up, always filming no matter what. Biggest get, if it's a PAT up 65-0 or game-winning field goal, she got her phone up. And how many clocks you guys see in stadiums, right? Not many. Time clocks. And the play clock was at 11 seconds when I snapped the game-winning field goal. And you saw there was a time of the kick at 11:11 p.m. So my dad was with me in that moment. So we're talking about that in heartbreak, kind of obviously the most heartbreaking moment in my life is my dad passing away. But now I mentioned, I kind of threw a shot into Coach K to lighten the mood a little bit. And he was like, now you're talking about my biggest heartbreak. So, but yeah, Coach K is a great dude. I'm so grateful to get to work with all these coaches. They are, not only are they great coaches, but they're great people. Similar to what I said, answer a question here before about the strength staff, right? The way that they're not just on you to get on you, right? They're here to push you to be the best version of yourself every single day, because not only do they want to see our football team be successful, they want us to be successful as people. So again, guys, I'm so grateful to be here. Yeah.
What's it like working with Matt, with him having come straight over from Australia?
It's awesome. Yeah. 2 years ago, I worked with a brand new Aussie who was playing his first year of football when 2 years ago, the only difference is that guy was 25 years old playing his first football game. Matt's 19, going to be 20. So first off, I love the kid. He's a great teammate, great player, comes to work every single day with a great attitude, wanting to learn more about football, wanting to learn the mindset that it takes to go out there, do your job, and perform at a high level. And he's been doing great. If you watch him go out there and punt in the period one day, like, you would think he'd be playing football for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, maybe. He's super mature. Again, there's just little things that you always have to work out. Again, think about how we all, as American football players, go in the transition from high school to college football. It's still a big transition. Never played football in a football game ever, to now he's going to open up week 1 versus LIU. So it's truly... he's a great dude. I'm very grateful for him. Very grateful for him as a teammate. And he's a sponge, man, learning every single day.
Rino? Thank you.
That's new KU long snapper Rino Monteforte. Let's go back now to the football building and hear from the new KU kicker. He'll be a sophomore this year. Comes over from Michigan State, Martin Connington.
Hey, Mark, I'll just talk about coming from Michigan State, having played in some big games. What can you bring to Kansas with that?
I like to think that I experienced a lot of different environments. I mean, there's some pretty brutal conditions that you face in the Big Ten, and obviously we played a game in Nebraska, which is they sell it every time, and we've been a lot of different experiences that I think are preparing me well for my future here, and I also think that I can contribute. well as a kicker as well.
Coming from the Big Ten, just what have you seen from KU's program?
I can't attest to the Big Ten as a whole, but I think that it's just there's a lot of consistency at big programs that they expect a lot of you. And I know that here they expect a lot of us, not only academically, but the weight room, nutrition, everything we do, there's a purpose to it. And I'm very excited to be in a program where they value that so much.
How's the transition been, just learning an entire new team, essentially?
Learning names is hard. It's always hard because then you get used to the new team, and then suddenly I'm on a new team, and there's new people, and other people on the team are also learning new names. So I think it's good. I think that the people themselves here make it a lot easier, and it doesn't feel like you're getting thrown into the fire per se. It's just, I think they do a great job here, kind of getting you acclimated, team activities, doing everything to make it a closer team.
And Coach O, his coaching style, is it a coaching style that you've kind of experienced before? Just kind of talk about how he's kind of handling the special teams.
Yeah, so I mean, I came from a program where there was a lot of different moving pieces to special teams and different coordinators and different things, and it's obviously different when it's all in one. I think he does a great job, and he kind of he expects us to do our job. Like he tells us what needs to get done. We trust him. We trust the process, and then we just kind of go through that.
What drew you to Kansas?
So I was obviously hit the portal. I didn't really know where I was going to end up. I was looking for a program that I could develop not only academically, but on the football side. I knew that a couple of schools I wanted to pursue, I couldn't pursue medicine, which is what I'm hoping to get into. And I know here they also had a dedicated kicking coach with Coach Deween that I think could really make me a better kicker. So when I had the opportunity to come here, it was kind of a no-brainer. I could pursue what I want to academically and have someone who's going to make me better at kicking. So
how do you balance that, pursue of medicine with football?
Yeah, so I mean, my schedule's pretty tight. I mean, right now I'm now getting a certification to be a CNA, so I can work in the hospital. I already volunteer at the hospital and picking up a lot of different things, but I mean, they support us a lot on what we need to get done. If there was ever a conflict or something that I felt that I needed to go and do that, they'd be completely supportive, and as long as you kind of communicate with them, it makes it pretty easy. I think obviously it's a lot. You need perfect grades. It's a whole mess, but I mean, they do a great job supporting us here. So
is it like pharmacy or doctor?
I'm hoping to go to med school.
Okay.
And I just started that transition over at Michigan State, and then settled and then came here. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, and then figured it out. But
have you kind of figured out what your specialty is in that sense, or is it too early?
I mean, it's too early for that.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm very drawn towards orthopedic surgeries. The hope. I mean, obviously, I want to stay in sports. And I met team doctors at MSU are great. The doctors here are great. So it's just I'd like to stay in the realm of football once I'm done here. So.
And how has it been living in Lawrence compared to?
I mean, it's a lot different. Thankfully, it's 50-minute drive. I mean, East Lansing was 50 minutes away from Detroit, and here it's 50 minutes away from Overland Park and Kansas City, which makes it nice. So it doesn't feel like you're kind of on an island. There's nothing to do. I think it's just smaller town. I kind of like it. It's calmer. I live in a nice place, and it makes it really great.
Any spots, food spots that you've tried out yet?
The burger stand? Downtown, really good. A little pricey, but good, I will say. So I haven't really tried anywhere else, but I like the burger stand a lot.
David Santiago came over from Michigan State with you. I mean, did you guys talk about that at all? Ride down together? Or
No, I saw on my official visit, as I was kind of planning on seeing that, my mom sent me a screenshot of Facebook of David's mom. And it's like, wait, you just come in? I was like, wait, that'd be so cool. And I got here and I was messaging him about it. And we didn't come down in the same car. He came down. I came down a little earlier than him, but I knew for sure he went home. So, yeah, it's kind of been nice to have another familiar face that not only I've played with, but now he's here, and it's always nice to see that.
That's new KU kicker Martin Connington. Danny's got some big shoes to fill. Money Marjan was so solid for this KU team, and hoping that Lath connects with an NFL, UFL team for all he did here at Kansas. But Connington comes over with multiple years of eligibility. Hopefully the special teams is as solid as they were the majority of last year. Yeah,
you certainly hope so, right? And, when you look at, what Kansas did last year, right, you have the three 6-point loss against Cincinnati, the 4-point loss against Arizona. I mean, a number of relatively close losses that, kind of come down to the wire, and a lot of that comes down to special teams, right? You got to be able to make your kicks. You have to be able to, get good field position. There was a lot of games last year, like the Utah game, where I thought Kansas had really good field position, and you even look a couple of years ago with Jameel Croft Jr. That's also a part of special teams as well, but just looking at the special teams as a unit, I mentioned this in the first segment, it's not the sexiest thing to talk about, but it is one of the most important
secret third
things.
Phase, yeah.
The secret third phase, and it's never talked about enough about how important special teams really is. You need to have everybody be able to do their jobs, not just the specialists, right? You need to have your kicker make their kicks. You need to have the punter get good field position. You need to have the long snapper allow the holder to be able to get it down and get it to the punter or whatever, but also in special teams as a whole, right? I mean, that's in a couple of phases of special teams is, number one, they're guys who are probably not starters, who don't get a lot of playing time, who are going to be out there on special teams, who are going to be trying to make a name for themselves, hopefully for the future for Kansas football, right? You see that often in every single college football team across the nation is you'll see guys on the 2, 3, 4 deep getting into special teams, getting those reps, and if you're able to do that, able to do your job correctly, then that'll get you some more playing time. And then also it's just being able to do your job correctly, get yourself set up into the position to where you're able to make plays, right? And that comes down to the returners, that comes down to blocking, that comes down to every single aspect of special teams.
Yeah, and of course, even in special teams, there are some elements that are more exciting than others. Talking about punt returning, kick returning. Tate Nagy was so good as a punt returner. Perhaps we'll see some Cam Pickett as a kick returner. Yep. Never know if one of those wide receivers that Kansas brought in will have some say, and certainly Dylan Edwards will have some say in the return game, according to Coach O, who we heard from a little bit earlier this week. We're going to hear from passing game specialist Jim Zebrowski, who, of course, transitions to that role from offensive coordinator. He still works with the quarterbacks as well. Going to hear from Coach Z next segment. Want to tell you about Crown Automotive, though. Miles Schneier and his team, founding partners of us here at Kansas Nation. Check them out on South Iowa in Lawrence. CrownAutomotive.com. They will get you in the vehicle that you need no matter what. They've got great service people. They'll answer your questions, be very friendly and kind. Check them out over at Crown Automotive. After this, we're going to hear from Coach Z on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City.
KansasNation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
Listen up, guys. Summer is coming, and there's no better time than right now to ignite your health and feel your best. Whether you're chasing peak performance, trying to reignite intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health Lawrence is your calling. Situated in a plush man cave setting, their services for testosterone replacement therapy, ED, vitamin therapy, and weight loss are sure to give you the boost you need. Make an online appointment today by searching for Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game and
percent APR plus $1,000 customer bonus, or get 0.9% APR on a 2026 Tiguan. Luxury just got a new definition.
Spring into something fun at Family Leisure, America's largest pool and spa dealer. Don't miss out. Buy your new pool today. Enjoy it all summer. Spring specials on hot tubs and swim spas. Spas from $34.99. Go with the pros. Fast professional delivery and installation. Check out this season's hottest patio furniture designs. Family Leisure also offers the highest quality chemicals, toys, and accessories to keep the fun going all summer long. Your one-stop shop for family fun. Spring sale going on now at Family Leisure.
Hi there, Gary Joslin with Joslin's Jewelry. I'm not the class ring company. I'm a mom and pop jewelry store for 42 years. We were recently voted the gold medal #1 jewelry store in the greater Kansas City area by Ingram's Magazine. Come see us at Joslin's Jewelry, 9529 Antioch. Joslin's Jewelry, the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Joslin's Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
Spring into something new at Family Leisure. Patio furniture. We've got it all. Chat height to bar height and everything in between. 5-piece dining sets only $9.99. Huge in-stock selection of deep seating and sectional groups. Customizable to fit your space. This aluminum deep seating collection now only $12.99. Make a splash. Pools and spas are priced to move. 30% off remaining pool tables, arcades, and other game room items. Spring sale going on now at Family Leisure.
Hey, tomorrow on the show, we're going to be joined by Shreyas Laddha, Kansas City Star and Kansas City Sports Network.
Yeah, new job alert.
Yes. Addition to Nick Springer's show, our friend Kevin Flaherty has taken a different position at KU. So we'll still hear from Kevin, but Shreyas taking on that co-host spot with Nicholas J. Springer. Check him out, Kansas City Sports Network. We're going to hear from Coach Jim Zebrowski, but first I want to tell you about Custom Lawn and Landscape. They're scheduling services right now, customlawn.com. Make sure that your lawn is looking its best as the spring and summer months are upon us. Customlawn.com, partners of us here at Kansas Nation. Got some women's basketball news.
Yes, we do. Kansas freshman forward Jalea Davis and junior guard Samaya Nichols have both been recognized as All-American honorable mentions by the Women's Basketball Coaches Association. That was announced earlier today. Davis, obviously, an incredible season, incredible freshman season for her. Would have been an incredible senior season by anybody, but doing this as a freshman is just unbelievable. 19.8 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, 20 or more points 15 times. She ranks 6th in school history for a single season and 3rd most in Big 12 history by a freshman. And obviously did a lot of her stuff during Big 12 play. She was Big 12 Freshman of the Week literally every single week. If she probably would have played more games, I think maybe she would have been 2nd or 3rd team All-American. Obviously she missed, I think it was like 10 games, maybe in the non-con, which, you know, kind of put a stop to that, but still able to earn honorable mention honors. And then Samaya Nichols, 17.4 points per game, 3.1 rebounds per game, and 4.6 assists per game as a junior. She also led the nation in free throw shooting. She hit 243 of 287 of her free throws this year. That's 84.7%. She broke her own single-season record of 218 free throws from just last year. Also broke Lynette Woodard's record for most free throws attempted by a single Jayhawk, which is really impressive to do that in 3 years. 167 assists. That ranks 9th in a single season for the Jayhawks. Also scored in double figures 32 times in 36 games with 13 games of 20 points or more. 2 local kids doing it at the highest of levels here in Lawrence. You love to see it.
Absolutely. Shout out to Jalea and Samaya, 2 first-team all Big 12 performers. Coach Jim Zebrowski, one of our favorites to talk to over at the KU football building. Of course, spent last year as KU's offensive coordinator. He's been quarterbacks coach. Now he is the passing games coordinator, getting a chance to work with new quarterbacks. Well, new quarterbacks and a couple of guys who I guess we would call vets at this point, in Cole Ballard and Isaiah Marshall, but also Chase Jenkins, Jalen Mason added to the fold here at KU. Let's hear everything Coach Z said a little bit earlier today.
What's it like having a quarterback competition in the program again, and what's that like going to do?
It's good because you think back about it. You had a little bit of Jason J at certain times, once in a while, but it's good. Especially it's good with 2 kids who've been in the program. It makes it a lot easier because they know the system. Even though Andy brought in a lot of stuff, obviously, with similar schematically stuff, kind of stuff-wise, and 2 guys that have both played. That's what's pretty cool. They may not have played a ton of reps. I mean, Cole played a little more than Isaiah had, but have 2 guys who have played and have reps in live settings is awesome. So it's been really fun. It's been a blast. I keep looking for Jalen to be around. He's been around so long, man. I'm like, where is Daniel? Oh, Jalen Mason. Okay, got it.
Who do you kind of see the growth areas for the 2 returning guys at quarterback?
Confidence, comfortability. I don't know if that's a word, but I'll make it up. Comfortability, like just really just makes decisions. Hey, I see it, check it down. Just understand what's going on and understand defensive structure, blitz, and pressure look so much more than they've done. So I think they've really grown in the mental aspect because physically you've seen them both. You guys have all seen both dynamic young men and terrific guys, but they've really grown in the mental aspect of the biggest growth.
You guys brought in a transfer quarterback. What have you seen in his? Was he out of the room?
Question, I'm sorry.
You guys brought in a transfer quarterback. What is he out of the room?
Jay, athletic. The thing with him, he threw a lot. It's unique because he threw a lot in high school. Went back, watched some high school tape. He was third time. Then went to Rice Camp, moved back to receiver. Then he went back option quarterback. So his growth is coming through the pass game. Because obviously when you're triple option, you're not throwing as much, obviously. So his growth is picking back up to that throwing days. They threw a lot in high school, so it's kind of good. I hate to remember, but getting back to those skills, fundamentals.
So do you see Chase as like a three-person race here, or is it Cole and Isaiah and then Chase is there trying to...
Best person will play. How about that? See, isn't that a good answer? As the coach would say, right? Yes.
And
best person will play.
And Andy's talked about how you guys have sort of started to work together again, how he's going.
Yeah.
Just what's your perspective?
It's great to have him back. You hear him on the you remember that voice on the practice field. It's just energy. It's not loud. It's bad. It's energy. It's great to have him back. It really is. Like, you keep forgetting how long you've been with him, and meaning through the Buffalo years and the Kansas years, and just kind of jump back. What's up? It's like seeing somebody for your really good friend. I'll say, "What's up? Hey, what's up?" You jump right back into it. What it does for me, honest to goodness, from the bottom of my heart, what it does for me having Andy back, he gives me a chance, especially in this time when you have competition going on, to really spend time with the quarterbacks. It really does. He's freaking going to schematically do things. He's going to call it. He freaking scripts and all that good stuff. That gives me more time to spend with all those guys. So it's been awesome.
Jim, what do you tell them? I mean, what's the mental side of this battle? The Cole and Isaiah especially. Sorry, what the mental side of a QB competition? I mean, how much have you talked to those guys about where their heads need to be and how they need to approach this with this opportunity for both of them?
Yeah, the great thing is with those guys, knowing how they're kind of wired, you don't say much. They're both ultra competitive. Like, and you wouldn't. You guys have all met both of them, obviously. Different. Like, Cole's more wants to punch you in the face. Like, tough. You know what I mean? Zeke doesn't even think he does, but he's got the just give me the ball and get the hell out of the way, and I'll make plays. You know, so they're both very kind. So you don't have to say much to any of them. If they make a bad play, they're going to make a good play next play. And they both know that. I think competition, I've always said this, I've told you guys this before, when I was at Buffalo, Tyree Jackson was quarterback, and then he got hurt. Drew Anderson went in, lit it up. I mean, lit it up. Then he gets hurt, had to play a freshman. Well, then Tyree comes back and plays lights out for the rest of the career. It's like competition brings out the best. Those guys are, so competition, they don't have to say much because they both know what's going on. And it's been fun to watch. I hate to say easier, coach, but it's fun because they know, I hate to say what's at stake, but they both want to start, obviously. Everybody wants to start. But then they just want to go after and go make plays. So but they're still really good teammates. I've been really fortunate. I always told you guys that with Jason too and Jalen, like they really like each other. Like they do pull it. So yes, they know what's going on, but they really care. Like touchdown pass by Zeke or a great play, Cole's just as happy as Zeke is, and vice versa. Yeah. So that makes it easier.
Yeah, when you say best player will play, is there?
Meaning Coach Leipold will decide.
Fair. That kind of leads into it. If you could speak for you and Andy and Lance too, I mean, is there any even realm of possibility that you could play multiple quarterbacks in a game, and is that something you guys would consider? No,
I think you're going to let this thing roll out. If it gets to the point where it's so close, I'm sure that's a decision that, or this discussion you have to talk about. Because people have done it. Right. I remember years ago, I'm going to age myself, so I apologize. I remember Ohio State, they went to a Rose Bowl with like Joe Germain and Stanley Jackson, I think, wasn't it? Those names back in the day. Like, people have done it. So it's not like it's not impossible. I'm not saying we are. I'm just saying, but that's something obviously would hit Coach K, and because Coach K and Coach Leipold obviously got the most say, so I'm going to give input and tell like, here's what I feel, here's how the grades are out, grade everything you rep is great. It was awesome, fun, and complete, incomplete, and accurate, inaccurate, and then put together. But if that ever happens, it doesn't. To me, it's like who's ever out there is out there because he can make plays. And I think the team, the great thing about our team is they respect both those dudes a lot. All the guys, but especially those two, because they've worked hard. They've worked so hard.
You mentioned working with Andy again. Just what were the conversations with Lance like about this role change? Because with him coming back, there was
you want the whole process of it? No, it was really like this. Obviously, it was tough. Obviously, like whenever you get demoted, for lack of better words, demoted, you're like, it's a tough deal. And I'm like, yeah, I go, but I always look at this way, like we didn't do well enough. Let's just be flat out honest. We need to be better. And when Lance brought that up to me, hey, I'm gonna bring Andy back, and I'll remember the conversation on the phone. I know exact day it was. I know exactly where I was. And after a few minutes, I'm like, well, am I still coaching quarterbacks? He goes, yeah, we still want you back anyway. He goes, as long as you're good. He goes, Andy just wants to know you're good with it. I go, dude, I'm good with it. Whatever makes us better, I am good. Like, I love this place. My daughter graduated from here. You guys all know that. We love it here. My wife had worked in nonprofits here. It's a great place, great city, great school. So I'm like, and there's nothing like, and I enjoyed Andy. I enjoyed working with Andy. So I'm excited about it. So it was like that. I mean, he goes, yeah, we still want you back. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's go. And you move on. And like I said, and the other good thing is us together have been pretty darn successful. You know, me working with him and for him, or how you want to say it, working as a position coach, as his coordinator, has been pretty successful. Hopefully we can keep that going.
You've had a lot of different titles this time around. You're the passing game coordinator.
How about that?
Yeah. Is that meaningfully different from when you were just the quarterback's coach?
Meaningful different. It will show you that I'll have more, input. Andy's still going to decide what we're going to do, obviously. But I think that's my emphasis. So that helps. When you're coordinating, the one thing is what happens is you're obviously spread all over the place. So this does give me a chance, which I've always loved doing, is I've always been more heavy into the pass game aspect of it. So I think it gives me more ability to give ideas to Andy and give thoughts and ideas to Andy and see if he wants to do them or not.
Following up on previous answer, where were you? Are you like in the grocery store? Are you in your car at home when you had the conversation with light bulb back?
I was just waking up. It was January 1st, I think. First or second or third or somewhere early January, something like that. I was in the morning, something like that, or something. I think it was that, and then you go, okay, let's go. I think it was early January, first, second, third, something like that. I can't remember what it was. What the talk was. I knew the day. I knew exactly. I should say where I was. I know the exact date. I knew the areas. Wakes you up a little bit. Like, oh, good. And then you go. Like I said, the good thing about quarterback wise, you got to adjust all the time and adapt. You know. So, and I said if I didn't care so much if I didn't enjoy so much working with Lance and Andy and so on, I wouldn't be here. I would have left and said, no, I would have said, I'm out, or whatever. But I do, and I've enjoyed it. So, plus it's kind of knowing, the other fun part is knowing all the quarterbacks are all coming back, and kind of the fun part to be like, as you get older, sometimes it's more fun to stay with this thing and let this thing see itself through. And we're one of the few, I guess not one of the few, but one of the fewer programs that kind of keeps kids around at that position, which is kind of, I know we lost David, obviously, but I mean, we've kept a pretty fair amount, which tells a lot about, obviously, what our culture, which I like. In this day and age of college football, it's pretty good to have a guy like Lance. And then Andy in charge of the offense and being able to live in a culture like this.
Was there any part of you that thought about, like, I'm going to get other opportunities? Or
No, I mean, you get the initial, and Lance always said, hey, if you need to go, I'll let you go, whatever, you know. So I go, no, of course you got to think about it for a second, but there's like 1/10 of a second. I'm good. It's not like I'm a 30-year-old dude anymore. I'm freaking good. I love it. And the other thing is, sometimes these guys know how you coach. You know what I'm saying? And the system, sometimes I'm so locked into, even though I knew Andy was coming, they change things, it'd still be a similar structure. So I'm like, having to learn something all over again or do something and have to teach other people all over again. I kind of want to see where this thing goes. So I really believe, in my heart's too, I think I've really got an opportunity to be really successful. I don't want to let that go either. Plus, I don't know if my daughter would have liked it or not. You know what I'm saying? Okay, you kid.
What changes, if any, have you noticed in Coach K from previously to now being back?
Nothing. He's still Coach K. Energy, excitement. He's gonna make you. How do you say this? He's gonna drive you. He's gonna drive the program. He's gonna drive the kids. He's gonna push the kids. That's what I love best about him. That's what I love best about him. He's going to expect you to freaking do your job and do it to the best of your ability. Make sure your guys do the job and they're prepared. And so it's been fun. I haven't seen any changes at all. So like I said, it's like, what's up? The first time we saw each other, what's up? Hey, what's up, Andy? What's up, Jim? Z, let's go. And that's how it was.
Anything else for Coach Z? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
That's KU football passing game coordinator Jim Zebrowski. Dan, in the business of high-level college coaching, Division I, Big 12 coaching, I don't think there's a lot of people who can set aside their pride, their ego for essentially what it is a demotion.
Yeah.
A reassignment, as Coach Leipold talked about, as well as Jim Zebrowski. And a lot of that is rooted in the respect he has for Coach Leipold and Coach Andy Kotelnicki coming back. But not a lot of hesitation for staying at KU and trying to win here at KU.
Yeah, he talked about it. He said he loves this place, right? His daughter graduated from KU, and he absolutely loves Lawrence. And, he talked about it. Yeah, when he got the phone call, he was, it's one of those things where you're probably a little bit upset at first, but at the same time, he said his first question was, do I still get to coach the quarterbacks? Because that is what he loves to do. And he loves this group of guys. He loves all the quarterbacks who come through Kansas and all the quarterbacks that I'm sure he's coached throughout his long and illustrious career, you know what I mean? And I think you put that well. I think that a lot of guys, they go, hey, we're actually gonna, you're not the offensive coordinator anymore. We're actually gonna bring in somebody else. He's gonna take over your job, and then we're gonna demote you. I don't know, probably 80%, 90% of coaches around the world would be like, all right, well, screw you. I'm looking for a new job. But not Zebrowski. I think he was really excited to get back to work with Andy Kotelnicki. I mean, you could tell that, both of them are two very, imaginative offensive minds, if you will. And, just kind of a special connection that they have. And he talked about it, about how, it's like seeing an old friend that you haven't seen in a while, and you just kind of pick back up where you left. Like, oh, hey, what's up, Andy? Oh, hey, what's up, Jim? Like that kind of thing. I think that's really good to see out of that, because there's no hostility there. And you get to see Coach Zebrowski out of practice, and, he's having fun. Andy's having fun. Lance is having fun. I think that's the main thing. I think that when you look at some of the Kansas teams of the past, particularly with Jeff Grimes, I feel like a lot of those guys weren't having fun, and winning helps everything, obviously. Yeah. When you're losing, you're probably not going to have as much fun. But I think right now you can see it, and they're really gaining a connection with a lot of these kids. And I think the marriage of Zebrowski being the pass game coordinator, which he is the pass game coordinator, it's just a little bit different, and he's going to be, putting some different wrinkles in. Andy's going to be the play caller when the day comes, whenever game days come. But I think that marriage is going to be something special, and I think that this is going to be in a new capacity that we haven't seen, where you're going to see more Jim Zebrowski influence in the passing game. You're going to see more Andy Kotelnicki influence in the running game, also in the passing game as well. And I think when you combine both of those minds at the level that they're at right now, which is they kind of have free reign over, I think it's going to be electric. I mean, that's one word that I can think of that describes it. And, I really like that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And like you said, he handled it with grace, and he loves talking to the media. He's always got a smile on his face, always chipper with the media, and, joking around and laughing and having a good time. So I love Jim Zebrowski. I'm glad that he's back, and, I think it's going to be great.
Great personalities as well. Different personalities, but both kind of bouncy guys, and Coach K and Coach Z, and got a chance to talk to some of the quarterbacks today, which we're going to hear from both Cole Ballard and Chase Jenkins, the transfer who came over from Rice, on tomorrow's show. But interesting quarterback battle. We haven't had that in a while, maybe arguably since Coach Leipold has been here. There's a little bit of Jason Bean, Jalen Daniels maybe a few years back, but it's a legitimate battle between Ballard, Marshall, and maybe even eventually Jenkins. But a lot of talented guys, different skill sets. Should be fun to see and fun for those guys to work with.
Yeah, 100%, right? And, we're going to hear from Cole Ballard. We're going to hear from Chase Jenkins as well. But I heard it in an exclusive one-on-one interview with Matt Tate with Cole Ballard. He was talking about how Isaiah Marshall is, his best friend probably on the team. And so there's no hostility between them, but they understand that it is a competition, and they're going to push each other to, their highest capability, which is something that you really like to see, right? It's not only is it a competition, but it's a clean competition where both those guys, they don't have hostility towards each other. So whoever wins that job, I think is obviously going to be the right guy. Zebrowski talked about it, and he said, whoever the best player is, we're going to play. That's such a coach thing to do, of just not answering the question, but also kind of answering the question a little bit. But
also it's April, so
it is sense. April. Nobody knows a thing, and it got brought up a couple of times today. We'll hear from Lance too, but about potentially doing a 2-quarterback system. Now, granted, I'm not a fan of it. I've always been under the assumption of if you have 2 quarterbacks, that means you have no quarterbacks, right? But I think both quarterbacks are different enough that it kind of gives you different looks whenever each one of them is in. Now, granted, it also makes it easier on the defense because if you go, oh, well, Isaiah Marshall's in, look, I guess they're running option, or oh, hey, Cole Ballard's in, they're going to be passing the ball more, or they're going to be doing more quarterback bootlegs, maybe up the middle as opposed to kind of on the outside. But I wouldn't hate the idea of it just for special packages, things along those lines, which I think would be, just a really exceptional thing. But when you look at Cole Ballard, I think the arm talent is there, and I think he's really cool and calm under pressure. I mean, that's what we've heard. And then we've also seen it, right? If you look back at his true freshman year, whenever he had to be thrown to the wolves essentially against Texas Tech and K-State, two really good programs, Kansas was not nearly as talented as either one of those teams, and they threw a dart at it. And Cole Ballard looked good in those games. I thought he looked really good in those games, and that was as a true freshman. Now he has had this much time to kind of get back and kind of get in the system, and now this is one of his times to really shine. I mean, my money's on probably Cole Ballard for starting the season. I think his arm talent is better. I think he's, maybe makes a little bit smarter decisions, but the athleticism alone that Isaiah Marshall can provide, there's going to be a spot for him on the field this year, regardless if he's a starter or not.
Yeah, no doubt. And he has a great running ability that Brandon McAnderson said was reminiscent of Devin Neal. Different guys, different positions, different body types, but you could see a little bit. Zeke was comfortable out there. He seemed to be shifty. He seemed to find holes. And, yeah, both those guys are going to play a part. And we got still 4 or 5 months before we see who the starting QB is for Kansas, but a lot of talent in that room. Looking forward to the rest of spring ball. And, of course, when fall ball starts, we'll be jacked. And those guys will have to answer questions left and right on who the starting quarterback will be until a firm decision will be made. But it does seem like it is going to be realistically one guy with another guy, perhaps 2 other guys mixed in at times. After this, we're talking KU baseball as they host Utah for the first of 3 today. Rock Chalk Sports rolls on. ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com.
KansasNation.com is presented by Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game with Game Day Men's Health Lawrence.
Listen up, guys. Summer is coming, and there's no better time than right now to ignite your health and feel your best. Whether you're chasing peak performance, trying to reignite intimacy, or simply want to feel your best, Game Day Men's Health Lawrence is your calling. Situated in a plush man cave setting, their services for testosterone replacement therapy, ED, vitamin therapy, and weight loss are sure to give you the boost you need. Make an online appointment today by searching for Game Day Men's Health Lawrence. Step up your game in 2026.
APR plus $1,000 customer bonus, or get 0.9% APR on a 2026 Tiguan. Luxury just got a new definition.
Spring into something fun at Family Leisure, America's largest pool and spa dealer. Don't miss out. Buy your new pool today. Enjoy it all summer. Spring specials on hot tubs and swim spas. Spas from $34.99. Go with the pros. Fast professional delivery and installation. Check out this season's hottest patio furniture designs. Family Leisure also offers the highest quality chemicals, toys, and accessories to keep the fun going all summer long. Your one-stop shop for family fun. Spring sale going on now at Family Leisure.
Hi there, Gary Joslin with Joslin's Jewelry. I'm not the class ring company. I'm a mom and pop jewelry store for 42 years. We were recently voted the gold medal #1 jewelry store in the greater Kansas City area by Ingram's Magazine. Come see us at Joslin's Jewelry, 9529 Antioch. Joslin's Jewelry, the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Joslin's Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
Spring into something new at Family Leisure. Patio furniture. We've got it all. Chat height to bar height and everything in between. 5-piece dining sets only $9.99. Huge in-stock selection of deep seating and sectional groups. Customizable to fit your space. This aluminum deep seating collection now only $12.99. Make a splash. Pools and spas are priced to move. 30% off remaining pool tables, arcades, and other game room items. Spring sale going on now at Family Leisure.
KU baseball, a Big 12 series coming up this weekend against Utah. I'm going to tell you about that, but first I want to tell you about Custom Lawn and Landscape, who is presenting this baseball update.
Yeah.
They're going to be doing that
Proud supporters of KU baseball here at Kansas Nation. Custom Lawn and Landscape. Better Lawn start early here at customlawn.com. If you want a thick, plush, healthy, green, fluffy grass lawn, then be sure to check out Custom Lawn and Landscape, because they don't happen by accident. You don't just walk outside. I'm dealing with this right now. My lawn looks like garbage. You want to know why? Because I didn't call Custom Lawn and Landscape. I need to, and I should have earlier. But here's the thing. They're still doing treatments right now, and they're still working on a lot of people's lawns. So be sure to check them out, customlawn.com. Better Lawn start early at customlawn.com.
KU baseball coming off that nice win against Mizzou, 11-8 in Columbia. Mizzou Twitter was all about the over 3,000 fans that attended that game, only to watch them lose in the border war to the Jayhawks. KU 19-10, 6-3 in the Big 12 Conference, and of course they swept Mizzou again this season. Tonight, it's going to be Bodie Ray. He's 4-1, 2.55. He's kind of transitioned to that Friday guy, even though this is a Thursday to Saturday series. Tomorrow will be the traditional Saturday guy, Matisse Nayral, who we spoke to and heard from yesterday on Rock Chalk Sports. And then to close out, it'll be the Saturday starter, generally going on Sundays now, Dom Vagley. He's 2-2, 7.97 ERA. Utah, they are 5-4 in conference play, 16-10 overall. They've won their last 3 games, a series win against K-State. Also this season, they've beaten Arizona, Grand Canyon, and Jake Long has been one of the offensive leaders for Utah. He has a 21-game hitting streak. On the KU side of things, Dan, Jayhawks have matched their best 9-game start to Big 12 play in program history. How often last year when we were talking KU baseball, we were like, oh, for the first time in program history, they did this, they did that. They scored this many runs. 6-3, best 9-game start to Big 12 play in program history. They've matched it. They've also won 6 of their last 7. So KU, after a slow start, now they've got opportunities. And like Haney was talking about earlier, you got West Virginia, you got Utah this weekend. You also have UCF coming to town. They're leading the conference right now at 8-1. Would love to see the pitchers be consistent, because as we've talked about time and time again, it seems like the offense is going to score enough runs. Now, they'll be tested against Big 12 competition, and there's going to be a lot of really good pitchers to face KU, but if you can hold them down, at least to an extent, on the bump, then you got to feel good about the offense.
Yeah, and looking at Utah, like you said, Jake Long, he's batting .389 right now, played in every single game, and is on a 21-game win streak. I mean, that's just something you don't see ever. And then he's not even their best hitter in terms of batting average. Cameron Gurney's batting .406 right now. He has 4 home runs on the year, 41 hits at 101 at-bats. Jake Long has 42 hits, 108 at-bats. He also has 7 home runs, but Utah, as of right now, in conference play, they're 6-4, like you said. They have 53 home runs on the year. Kansas, they do have 46 home runs on the year, but this Kansas squad, you feel like they're just hitting, home run after home run and just continuing to get those RBIs. And Utah's right up there with them. They've just been on the receiving end of some not great losses for them. So this is a really solid baseball team that Kansas is going to be facing off against. And they have a lot of depth as well, right? They have, 9 guys who are always constantly in the rotation, but then you look down their bench, they have 3 guys all batting over 300 right now, including Bradley Navarro's batting .327, Zachy Hawkins batting .324, and then Jack Clavino batting .300. So they have some depth on there as well. But I think where Kansas is really going to be able to, if they want to be able to win these games, they're going to have to get off and kind of win the pitching battle as well, right? The starters have to be good. You got to see Dom be good. You got to see Bodie Ray be good. You got to see Matisse Nayral get off to hot starts. I think Kansas a little bit weak in the bullpen right now. I think their starting pitching is really kind of their strength, which is not what we expected coming into this season, right? But if Kansas is able to get off to a hot start, get some runs on the board early, and hold them in the first 5 innings, I think Kansas should be okay in this. Utah can score, but at the same time, Kansas, I think, is on a roll.
All 3 will be broadcast on ESPN Plus. Brian Hanni, Wally Marcel on the call. You can also listen on the Jayhawk Sports Network. Tonight, KU is going to be wearing special uniforms and hats that feature a design to help raise awareness for autism. Wednesday's game will feature a sensory-inclusive environment for fans attending. I said Wednesday. That was the notes. It's tonight's game will feature a sensory-inclusive environment that Haney talked about a little bit earlier. Stadium volume will be silenced at 5:50 and will gradually increase throughout the game. World Autism Awareness Day is celebrated today, April 2nd, every year. Information about that will be available during the game. Resources will be available as well. It's a really cool thing that KU Baseball is doing. Elijah Schmidt is our technical director. For Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying, join us tomorrow, Rock Chalk Sports from 4 to 6. Going to have great coverage for you. Hear from Lance Leipold and much more. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.
What's up, everybody? Dan Peterson. Everybody go check out Kansas.
Now 0% APR plus $1,000 customer bonus. Or get 0.9% APR on a 2026 Tiguan. Luxury just got a new definition.
Hey there, I'm Nick Schaefer.
I'm Greg Gurley.
And this is Between Two Fountains. It's not an original name for a podcast, but it's our name, Greg.
Love it. A lot of time and effort went into that name, and that's all we got.
As far as you know. Hey, we're going to talk about our two favorite topics, Kansas City area sports and nonsense. That about covers it, right?
I'll handle the nonsense.
Yeah. We'll have the best guests as well, and the worst jokes come around every single week on Between Two Fountains.
Hi there, Gary Joslin with Joslin's Jewelry. I'm not the class ring company. I'm a mom and pop jewelry store for 42 years. We were recently voted the gold medal #1 jewelry store in the greater Kansas City area by Ingram's Magazine. Come see us at Joslin's Jewelry, 9529 Antioch. Joslin's Jewelry, the jeweler you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Joslin's Jewelry for the best that's yet to come.
This is SSJ. Winter in Kansas City doesn't mean your lawn takes a break. It means smart homeowners get a head start. Let David and his crew from Custom Lawn and Landscape prepare your yard for a greener, healthier spring with winter fertilization, soil conditioning, and pre-emergent treatments that stop weeds before they start. Because when the snow melts, you don't want to start fixing your lawn. You want to already be winning. Trust Custom Lawn and Landscape, treating your yard now so it looks incredible later. Visit CustomLawn.com to